Hello and welcome to Take Back Time. My name is Penny Zanker and I'm your host. And today I feel that I'm giving you guys a special treat. I have a dear friend of mine and an amazing thought leader and doctor who's here with us. It's Dr. Thomas Duncan, and he's a family physician who practices functional and integrative medicine in Olympia, Washington. And he's also, together with myself, a master neurostrategies expert, master in neurolinguistics, right? So that's NLP.
How do you spell that, Penny?
Yeah, NLP. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, here we go.
There you go. Needs no further introduction. He's funny, he's smart, and he's going to teach us some great things, and we're going to learn more about his book. So hey, Tom.
Hey, Penny girl. Thank you so much for having me on your amazing podcast. I'm just very excited to be with you today because, take a look, it's been 11 years since we started this journey together, with Steve Linder and, now it's Strategic Brain, and how I got the privilege of watching you evolve over those years. And I cannot tell you how much you've actually inspired me to continue this path, because there was a time not too long ago that I was like, oh, I don't know if I can do this. I had some limiting beliefs, and and I just watched how every day you kept coming out, and I was following you on social media and your message, your TED Talk, and how this has just evolved, and and your encouragement to continue to move forward has been very much appreciated. And I just want you to know that you've been a source of inspiration for me, my friend.
Oh, thank you so much. And, and that I could say the same about you. So that's what it is, right? Is we're all sharing our experiences. Nobody's perfect. We're learning from each other. We're learning ourselves, and it's all a great journey. And I have also felt privileged to be on that journey with you as well. So yeah, so where you are right now is you're writing a book. And I know you've been talking about this for a long time, and I've even been sort of nudging you and pushing you along. So tell us the book and tell us the inspiration about why now and why you're writing it all together.
Yeah, great question. Thank you. I've been on a journey for about the last 12, 13 years, but, sometimes we get lost and we kind of forget what we've learned, and we kind of fall off the things that we know are right. And in March of 2021, during COVID, I read a study where it said that, people ended up in the hospital were, obese and vitamin D deficient. And, I was 5'8", 235 pounds. I was tired. I couldn't bend over and tie my shoes. I was just frankly sick and tired of being sick and tired. And, and I was seeing a lot of my patients coming in with the same complaints. And it's like going, how do I help these people? So I created this journey over the last couple of years where I've lost about 65 pounds of fat, gained about 10 pounds of muscle. I've got quite frankly, I feel better at 58 than I did at 38. And so it's just about doing the simple things better and small incremental changes over time. And that was the inspiration for the book, because I wanted to kind of chart a path of what has worked for me. And maybe I can inspire somebody to say, hey, this is where I was struggling. I'm supposedly a medical doctor, have all this knowledge, but yet again, I struggle with my humanity, and I struggle with the things like everybody else. So I want to make it something that's really relatable to people, so that they can say, hey, I'm just a guy. As my good friend Jim Brown would say, he goes, Tommy, you're not Jesus Duncan. You haven't healed anybody.
You're not?
Yeah, exactly. I do cold plunges, but I don't walk on the water. And so, yeah, I'm just very excited to share that process with you.
So I love the term simple things better, right? Because also the more simple we can say it, the more it sticks, right? And that's a very sticky statement. Simple things better.
Yes.
So let's talk about some of those simple things. I know today that we wanted to kind of talk a little bit about our identity, who we are, who we want to be, how we want to show up. What are some simple things better that we can be more of ourselves and more true to ourselves?
Yeah, it's a great question, Penny. It's a little bit of self-exploration, because as you and I know, with our neurolinguistics, the strongest force in the human psyche is I am statements. I am a father, I am a husband, I am energized, I am passionate. Those I am statements is what drives it. So doing the simple things better is just asking better questions, right? And so it's like, who are you? But more importantly, who do you want to be, right? And so if you ask
Right.
those questions of who is it that you want to be, because in order to create that paradigm shift, again, as we know, people change for one or two reasons, either inspiration or desperation. And so when I'm
Usually desperation, let's face it.
exactly. And that's where I was, quite frankly. I was, my blood pressure was 165/95. My cholesterol was through the roof. My liver enzymes were elevated. I mean, I had all the signs of metabolic syndrome, which we know the number one cause of death in the United States is cardiovascular disease. 70% of us guys, and I looked at my family history, and I'm like going, well, it didn't take a rocket scientist to say, I need to look at creating more health. And so I had to create a new identity of, to break out of that old thing of, well, I don't have time and, these limiting beliefs. So I had to create a new identity and kind of go back to another identity I had before is I am athletic, I am vibrant. And so I had to ask better questions of who do I want to be? I said, I want to be the doctor that people can come in and go, wow, you actually are walking the talk. So I wanted to create that identity. And that's one of the things that's helped me stay on track is coming up with a new mission statement. It kind of that incorporates both is I'm never going back. I'm always moving forward is kind of my mantra now. And so trying to create that identity. And within our identity, the 4 steps that we talk about is.
Wait, before you go there,
Yeah.
before you go to the 4 steps,
Yeah.
hold on. I want to stay there for 1 second, because I also want to share, thinking back, right? Even before we met each other, I didn't know what to call it or whatever. But when I was going through difficult times, I leaned back on, I am the example for my children, for the people around me. And that really motivated and inspired me, like be the example, right? And so if I wasn't sure what to do, what could I be proud of? I could be proud of being the example. So I think we can find those little things, like you said, I am athletic. So for everybody who's listening, think of 3 characteristics that represent your future of who you want to be, how or who you are at your best. It doesn't have to be that you're someone else. You're already that person. It's just how do you bring more of that out? So I am and come up with 3 characteristics. I am whatever. I mean, like, what do you say to that, Thomas?
I know that's exactly it. And you make it simple. You don't want to overthink it. As we talk about, the enemy of complexity or of taking action is complexity. And so if you can just make it simple and create that inside out process of, of your purpose, the reason why we talk about that all the time, and then set your goals. And as James Clear talks about in Atomic Habits, is fall in love with the process. And, I have a tool for, procrastination. I combined Mel Robbins, the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 from her 2013 TED Talk to a cognitive behavioral technique of, hey, I'm going to do something for 5 minutes. And then after those 5 minutes, I can either continue it or stop it. So I do the 5 by 5 for procrastination, which is like when I get into the cold plunge, sometimes it's like going, I really don't want to do that. So I'm literally going, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, just step in. I can do it for 5 minutes. And after that 5 minutes, if I want to continue, I'll continue. If not, I get out guilt-free.
Right. I love that 5-minute rule as well, because I think about that when I'm working with my trainer and we're going through different exercises that we're doing. And some of the things that I really am not a fan of, like rowing, I don't know why, but it just sucks the energy out of me, like in 2 seconds, right? But we can 5 minutes of anything we can get through, right? Yeah. So that's what I think of, is I'm just like, it's only a couple minutes. I'm gonna make it through this. I might throw up, but I'm gonna make it through. So It's true that 5 minutes, just get started, and if we just keep that, it's only a short time frame. I think that makes it so much easier to get into.
Yeah, and as we used to say in the Army a long time ago, is I can gargle peanut butter for 5 minutes.
Is that what you used to say?
Oh, yeah. And there's the thick, chunky kind, though.
Right. That's good. It's a new one I haven't heard yet, so I'll keep that in mind. So go into, so you were going to talk about the four steps, or so let's.
The 4 steps is basically what we're talking about. You should ask yourself your question: who do you want to be? And then we talked about the purpose, the inside out process, a big enough reason why of why you want to do that. So my why and my purpose is to inspire people to break their chains of limiting beliefs so they can unlock their true potential and experience the life of their dreams. So that's my purpose. And, and I want to help people take back control of their life and understand by just doing the simple things better that they can get that momentum, they can get that traction, and the power of compounding time, those small changes are going to lead to, well, there you go. Sometimes opportunity knocks, Penny, and lets you know that there's a great thing that's coming. And so now what we're trying to do is, when we are moving forward with that, is to create that inside out process. So it starts with purpose. And then we talked about the goals. And then, we talk about falling in love with the process and focus your effort on that process. And what you're doing with that is developing that grit, the passion and perseverance to really stay true to what is it that you're trying to do. And that's where that really helps keep you focused on what is it that you're doing, because we know that what we have is the limiting beliefs sometimes about what we're trying to do. So in order to become that new person, you've got to develop new habits. And that's what I talk about in my book is how do you develop those new habits? Because we don't determine our future, we determine our habits, and our habits determine our future.
Yeah.
And when you reinforce those habits over time, you become confident and competent in those skill sets. And that skill sets builds and reinforces that new identity that you're building. And so it's like this, like this little flower that's, just coming up out of the ground, you're nurturing it, you're bringing it up, is to be gentle with yourself during that process and give yourself a lot of grace and to embrace that discomfort. And as you continue to build that skill set, your confidence and your competence is going to continue to grow. You're going to reinforce those habits. You're going to get that momentum. And then you're going to reinforce that new identity of who it is that you want to be. And
totally. I love that. So hold on, let's go back because I didn't hear numbers. And so people are listening, but they might not have caught the numbers. Let's just go through and give the numbers to each one of those. So number one was
purpose.
Number
two is goals. Number three is our BS, our belief system, and how you reinforce your belief system with creating habits. And I go into detail on how to create those habits. And then the last one, number four, is story. Is what story are you telling yourself? Because if you can change your story, you can change your life. And so you have to look at what it is that you've been telling yourself over the years and what's the narrative, because we know how we communicate as humans is it's our story that what inspires ourselves. The story can be inspirational, or you can focus on the things that weren't so good and keep you stuck in the past as well.
Right. We forget that we are actually the authors of our own lives. There's lots of things that go happen around us, but
right.
We determine what we make of that. And also we can start writing a new chapter at any time, right? We can stop now and say, and so in my language, we can reset, take what we've learned from the past, and then see how we can apply those lessons going forward and write a new chapter.
Absolutely.
So I know you've got this new book coming out that you're working on, and maybe it'll come out next year. So tell us, we're going to sort of start wrapping up this part of the show, and I'm going to have you back, and we're going to do a version 2 and talk about how we can control our mood. Is there anything else that you feel that we didn't talk about yet around identity that's really key for people to have a handle of now before they get their hands on your book?
Yeah, the thing I talk about, the steps of transformation. Okay, before you can start changing your identity to who it is that you want to be, number one, you have to think it. Number two, you have to believe it. Number three, you have to speak it out loud. And then most importantly, you have to take action. Because we used to say, knowledge is power. And what I'm saying is, no, consistently applied knowledge is power. So it's all about taking action is what's most important.
Perfect. I mean, it's clear many times we know what to do, but we don't do what we know, right? So just having that knowledge can't can't be enough, right? It's in the consistent application of that knowledge. I love that. So I ask everybody this question, so I just want to ask you one or two quick questions to align with what people might be thinking in terms of take back time, right? So how does having a clear identity, right, a clear purpose, a clear why, how does that help to make us more productive in our day-to-day and reaching the goals and the things that are important to us?
That's a great question. And when you get clarity, we say clarity equals power. And what that does is when you're developing these new habits that are empowering you, that are, you're creating health and vitality, how that's going to do is keep you resilient when you start dealing with tough times, or you've got a tough project and you're able to push through. You're going to have the energy to keep moving forward and to deal with those projects, and especially when things are going well, you're going to be able to recover quickly because you're going to be able to develop those new habits and routines. With those habits and routines being, happening at the unconscious level where you don't have to think about it, it conserves energy. That's the whole point by forming those habits, is it helps you conserve energy moving forward and allows you to apply that energy in other areas of your life.
Awesome. Thank you. And so the way that I look at that, when you say conserving energy, it's kind of like when we have that clarity, there's so many things that are predefined. We already know how we're going to show up, so we don't have to think about it. We don't have to, right? It's clear. We have a consistent way that we're going to show up. And then that way we don't have to waste energy in that sort of decision fatigue of constantly deciding. We know what to do when we get on and do it.
Exactly.
And my last question is around, I'm writing a new book too, around reset moments. And so how can this practice of getting clear with who you want to be and showing up in that way, how does that relate for you to what I call reset moments, which is not just the big ahas and the big transitions, but also the little everyday signals that we get to slow down and pay attention and be more conscious of our choices?
When I think of the reset moments, Penny, that you're talking about, is that, there's no failure, only feedback. That's one of the tenets of neurolinguistics. And, and it's applicable. We talk about the 4 questions about what does it mean, or what else could it mean? What can I learn from this? When can I apply it now? And then who can I share this with? Okay, so those reset moments, you're always getting feedback. You're always getting that feedback. And so no matter what, if you are applying, like you talked about a little bit earlier, as long as you're learning from those results and applying it and how you can make it better by doing those simple things better, it allows you to go, oh, there's no failure, there's no feedback. I just get to hit reset and do it again, even better, this time from a place of more knowledge and more learning. And, as my good friend would say, is more wisdom, which is a combination of learning and experience put together.
Yeah, totally. I do talk about it like that too. Like it's a feedback loop. And when we live this, like when we really live that there's no failure, only feedback, what I call that is a reset mindset, right? Is that we don't take things too personally. We don't get upset at mistakes. We just are able to we do, but we don't stay there, right? We're human, we're emotional, but we're able to recognize that we can learn something from this and we can apply it going forward. And then we just hit that reset button in that reset moment and decide how we want to show up and who we want to be going forward.
Yes, 100%.
So anything else that you want to say before we stop today?
Nope, that'd be perfect.
Awesome. So just tell people where's the best place to reach you.
So the best place to reach me is on duncanintegrativemedicine.com. My book's going to be coming out. I have have an online series, a 12-hour downloadable program that's streaming online that takes you through that process of doing the simple things better. And it's, small incremental changes. It's stacked with repetition, because we know in order to be good at something, we've got to do it over and over and over again to make it go even smoother.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, my friend. It's always great to share time with you.
And thank you all for being here. You just got a little taste. You saw a little bit of that crazy humor that this guy's got. I definitely recommend that you go and you check out this online program, that you get in line and get on the newsletter so that you know when this book is coming out. Dr. Tom really has some fantastic content. He's also doing this daily plunge that you can follow him on social media. So please do follow him. You'll be so glad that you did. There's so many golden nuggets that come from this. So again, thank you for being here. Be clear as to who you want to be and how you want to show up so that you can be proud of the choices that you make. My name is Penny Zanker, and this is Take Back Time. I'll see you in the next episode.